Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to another ENFP male interview. Today I get to interview an awesome panel of individuals, and the cool thing about this panel is that we all have the same functions just in different orders. All right, so without further delay, I'm gonna have everyone introduce themselves, starting with Heather. So Heather, can you please let everyone know what your type is?
Yeah, sure. I'm an ESTJ, and my op type is double masculine, TESI, and that's blast, play, sleep, consume.
Awesome, thank you. Next up is Hannah.
Hello, I'm an ISTJ. I'm double feminine, Si+Fi, sleep, lust, play, consume.
All right, thanks Hannah. Next up is Natasha.
Everyone, I'm Natasha. I'm an INFP, full masculine, FINE, consume, play, sleep, best.
All right, thanks Natasha. Next up is Jonathan.
Hey everyone, I am an ENFP. I am audio, NEFI, consume, sleep, play, blast.
And last but not least, we have Cinzia.
Hi everyone, my name is Cinzia and I'm an ENFP jumper. So audio, NETE, play, consume, sleep, blast.
All right, awesome to have you, Cinzia. So it's good to have everyone here again. And I don't know if you guys know, but Jonathan is actually my first interview ever. So it's like, this is like a full circle for us. So
Yay!
Super interesting here. So the first topic we're gonna cover today is SF sleep. All right, so everyone here has SF sleep in different orders. Some of you have it in a savior state and some of you have it in a demon state. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna explain what SF sleep is, and then I would like everyone here to share what their experience is like using SF sleep, okay? So there's many layers to SF sleep. So we'll start with the surface layer stuff first, and then we're gonna go deep dive into the more deeper stuff. So the first part of SF sleep is preserving your energy. So depending on your animal stack, can you please explain how you preserve your energy, if you do preserve your energy? All right. So in this case, we're gonna go the opposite way. I'm gonna ask Cinzia first, because Cinzia is she has sleep third, I think. So go ahead, Cinzia.
Double masculine.
Yeah, double masculine.
Yes, double masculine sleep. So yeah, I was just gonna say, because I have sleep as a demon, I obviously haven't thought about this previously, but I can make something up in a moment. But what I would say is how I do my sleep is I do it, but it's more like an emergency break. And so recently I actually talked about this with someone else recently, and I said, I'm feeling a play consume tidal wave coming up because I've just put too many things on my plate and too many plates are spinning in my hands. And but then unlike the sleep lasts, I think I do see that I need to change something, and I need to prioritize and cut back and scale back. And so I see my sleep as an emergency break, but I do pull the brake every now and then, but probably not often enough. That's it.
All right, thanks, Cinzia. So you use it, so you don't crash, but it's like last minute that you use it. All
Exactly.
right. Next up is Jonathan. Jonathan, you got it second. That's your second animal. Go ahead,
Yes. What was the question? What's it like?
Yeah, how do you preserve your energy using SF sleep? How do you preserve your energy?
How do I preserve my energy? I guess like I'm really like strict on like my routine. So like it's my second animal, it's double masculine, but SI is also a demon. So I get really weird with my routines. So I like literally will plan to like relax. And if something comes in the way, then I'll get quite anal and annoyed that I can't actually, relax. But otherwise, it's just like constantly like, it's always on my mind. Like I'm always thinking, okay, I need to relax. Like how long is this thing gonna take that I'm doing right now? Because I just want to go and relax. I want to go and sleep process. So it's just always in my brain. Like, it's like, hey man, you need to relax now. You need to relax now. And it's like a daily struggle trying to fight with that.
All right, thanks, dude. Natasha, how do you use your sleep? You have a third, I believe.
Yeah. So because I have play and sleep in the middle, I will do a lot of projects, but then I'll also be able to prioritize and restrict the amount of projects I'm working on to preserve energy. And I always have to have time that I call lazy time. So time where I can just be a potato, like sit down, just relax, just not do anything, not work on anything. I also tend to have routines that I stick with, and even food. Like I have food that I like and I tend to stick with that. So also a little bit weird with the SI, especially because it's masculine. But mostly because it's in the middle, I still do pull on the brakes and prioritize and narrow down when I have to.
All right, awesome, Natasha. Hannah, how do you use your sleep? Your sleep first. You're gonna be the queen of sleep here. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, to me, so I started to pay attention because unlike Cinzia, I thought about this question before. But I see it like it's almost like gravity. So I noticed that when I wake up and I have the possibility to stay in bed to process my feelings, I'll do that. Then I wake up, I do my workout routine. While I'm working out, I process how I feel. Then I brush my teeth. And while I'm brushing my teeth, I'm like, okay, how does... So it's just, I take every chance. I'm not actually lazy at all. I'm just trying to streamline my identity, if you want to, beforehand, so that I can be more efficient. And yeah, sometimes I also feel like a little animal that's just trying to look at the next step. Like it's pretty stupid. It's like a squirrel. How do I walk the next little step? Yeah, that's that.
Awesome. It's interesting to hear from like a SI first perspective. Next up is Heather. So Heather, can you share with us your sleep? It's third, I believe.
It is. So it's a demon, but it's not like the ultra demon that I have. So it's not too bad. And I balance it right there with play right next to it. So what I notice is like I literally go up and down throughout the day. So like the morning, I get up at 4 something in the morning, and I go to the gym and do an hour and a half workout, and I'm really revved most of the day. But when it gets to about 5 o'clock, it's like it's right back down. So like I go to bed pretty early. And so I'm just kind of cautious. I think too, if I'm around people, like when I used to do face-to-face trainings, if I had to go and do an all-day training, and I always made sure if it was lunchtime, I went and got alone. I go back to my hotel, even if it meant a drive to go do that, I would go back to my hotel because I'm like, I just need 30 minutes to just be alone and not have anyone around me. And then it's like, okay, I can re-engage. So I'm monitoring my own energy levels, but I'm also monitoring how much I'm putting out or exerting for the tribe and or keeping for myself.
All right, so it's cool to see that everyone here can hit the brakes when needed, and you all have your own way of doing it, which is super cool. Speaking of cool, part of SF sleep is the cool factor, or what's popular. So we're gonna talk about the SF, what's cool in the physical world. If you watch a lot of David Chan videos, they like to bring up a lot of people that have sleep blast or demon and conquer that SF sleep blast. Like Wes Watson, for example, he's like super jack. So can everyone share their experience with that SF cool factor? Now, the thing is, because it's personal, it's what's cool for you, right? It does not necessarily mean it's going to be cool for everyone, but it could be cool for everyone because, for example, what's her name? The writer of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. Like, isn't she an INFP, right? So, when you're writing a story, that's going to be SF, right? Like you're telling a story. So, and you know what? Harry Potter is like one of the biggest bestseller books of all time. So clearly, whatever's in your head is cool. Whatever you produce, the story or whatnot is cool. So let's talk about that SF cool factor. I want to go with Jonathan first for this one. So because Jonathan's he plays music, so that's like an SF cool thing. So go ahead, Jonathan. Talk about how you experience SF.
I play music, but I also have 1,000 other hobbies. So, yeah. So for me, like, I don't know, it just comes down to like things that I value. And I mean, I like clothes. Like I like to, dress nice, I think. I also really like things. Like I like to like just collect things. And I'm very like particular with these things, right? So I have, it's an example. I have like, okay, let's talk about music. So with headphones, like I have like thousands of different pairs of headphones. I like headphones because I like music, right? So I just have all these, like got one pair here, got a pair here, I have like another pair here. So that's one example. It's just this, just real like fascination with things. And, you know, I'm in music, so, you know, why not headphones? I guess another example would be like things like drinks. So like I'm a big fan of drinks. So like if that's coffee, I have my own coffee machine. So like you know, I go all out to like understand how, you know, how to make good coffee, right? So I'm like really trying to find like the best, the coolest coffee to drink and to make. You know, I like whiskey, so like I'm always like looking for really good, like, you know, top quality like SF cool whiskeys. So I guess it just comes to like what I think is cool in various different things. And I'm an observer, so I'm going to be weird with things.
All right, thanks, dude. That's awesome. Let's go with Hannah next, because she's SF sleep first. So she's like, you know.
She seemed like she related to what I was talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, I think it's a very strange animal because, you know, popularity is literally the thing that I least resonated with in the entire OP system. But I think I'm the same as Jonathan. I'm very particular with my things, but I don't really care what other people perceive as cool at all. I'm a real snob with that. And also, so coffee is a thing, music, but I don't make any music myself. I'm just very particular with the music I like. And yeah, I'm also very particular with notebooks and paper. I have so many opinions on notebooks and what is the best pen to write with. I'm not going to tell everyone, but I have an opinion on that. And I can, yeah, it's just, I feel like it's a very snobbish taste. And sometimes for me, I think it's a little bit old, or it might come across as old-fashioned. I like classical beauty. That's what I'm interested in. So yeah, I'm very materialistic, but opposite to like Si+Fi consumer, I guess, because I want the one thing I have to be perfect, and then that's that. Never consume again. Okay.
All right, thank you. That's awesome. Love your enthusiasm. Let's go with Natasha next.
So I actually took some notes as I was processing this. So there are a couple of things that I have processed about SF sleep. One of the things is that I think I talked to Reggie about this, or someone in the Discord community, that SF sleep is one of the loneliest sleeps, because the kind of stuff that you like is very particular. So if you try to share it with other people, they might not have the same enthusiasm as you towards those specific topics. It can be quite lonely at times. Another thing that I also processed was that we tend to generate new cultures. So if we look at cult classic icons like Lady Gaga or even J.K. Rowling, they kind of disrupted culture by creating new culture and thus became popular in that manner. So they weren't popular by following what is SF mainstream popular, but they did create something new that then became popular and just did what most any people do, which is disrupt culture as well. So I also am pretty particular about things. Like if I like something, I have a hard time letting it go. And even I have something which I call souvenirs from the past. So like tickets from a movie I watched at the cinema when I went to this country, or just like a bag that someone gave me and I really like the bag. I have a really hard time letting it go. It could be falling apart and I'll still be like, no, I want to keep it, because I can't find anything that can replace it. And also, just like Hannah, also picky with notebooks, pens, mechanical pencils. Like there will be one that'll be like, this is the best one. Like there's nothing that beats this one. And if they stop producing this one, I'll be really mad. So that happens a lot. And I've been called hipster by a lot of my friends because very particular about the type of music, movies, TV shows that I like. I prefer tea over coffee, which is also a little bit hipster in a way to say, kind of pretentious. But that is how I see like SF sleep. It's a little bit pretentious, but we also have the possibility of generating new and innovative culture that maybe other types wouldn't have thought of.
All right, thanks, Natasha. So you heard it here first, folks. If you like tea, you are pretentious. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So I like what Natasha said about SF Sleep creating culture and disrupting culture, because it came from inside. You know, you didn't copy anyone, so it's in a way it's original, which is awesome. So I think that's one of the beauty of SF Sleep is you can create an original piece, and it doesn't matter which type you are that has this function stack. I've seen everyone of this type create something original, which is awesome. Let's go with Heather next. What is SF cool to you in an SF Sleep way? You're muted, by the way. So there we go. You got it.
Double click. Yeah, I think the first time I ever paid attention to what was quote unquote popular was in middle school. Like that's when it really hits you hard. And I just realized that like I wasn't doing what I noticed the other girls who like were doing the makeup and all this like SF stuff and my clothes and just like, oh my God, I suck at this. So I've always felt just I wasn't good with the SF. It's something that I feel like I have to pay attention to. It's not something I like to pay attention to, but I feel the pressure that, you know, this is what's expected. This is, you know, so it's always kind of had this love-hate relationship with it. And I never was really going after popularity. It just wasn't something I was interested in. But having said that, I think that I really found more of, because again, it's a bit of a demon for me, was when I create. So I'm also a musician. I've written songs where I've gotten, you know, royalties off the songs that I've written, and, you know, sold different things and arts and crafts in different places. And so I don't create it to be popular, for it to be cool. I create it because I really like this and I hope you like it. So it's like, I never know if someone's going to do that. So even if someone, you know, it needs a meal or something, I love doing things for people, but I don't know if you're going to like what I like. Like that stresses me out. And so I'm like the last person to sign up to make a meal for someone. Cause I go, I like it. I just have no idea if you would like it. So it's stuff like that where I have a hard time just gauging what's like out here. I know where I'm at and what I like and don't like. So yeah, so it's a little bit difficult for me to track.
That's cool though, that you're doing a lot of SF cool stuff still, you know, despite the fact that, you know, you say it's a demon. So like even your office right now is probably like the most SF cool of all of us. So like, you know, so next up is Cinzia. Cinzia, what is SF cool to you?
Yeah, I would say I relate to a lot of what the other people said. So for example, I don't think I'm very concerned with popularity at all. Usually, or most of the time, I actually usually like things, especially if they're not popular, because they're mine. So for example, the sports that I do powerlifting, which is not very popular, especially for women. And I think that's one of the things, or one of the reasons why I like it, because maybe that's my DI that wants to be significant, but it's like I feel significant or different from others who do yoga and jogging, and I do this, which is very unpopular and very uncommon. So yeah, that's probably that, and I'm already out of blast.
It's all good. Hey, you know what your blast?
But I was gonna say I don't want to talk take over the interview, but I'm wondering if I could ask the two Savior Sleeps a question, because I have consumed and I do questions. That's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I recently heard someone say, I'm not going to say her name because I'm not sure if she's comfortable with that, but she mentioned that, and she's Sleep Savior, and she said something like, if I have an idea or something is in my head, I need to process it right now, because I need to get it out of my way, because it's just going to bother me the whole day. So I need to get it done right now. And I was thinking that's really smart, because usually I would do it the other way around. I would try to get all the stuff done. So play energy, get all the stuff done, all the chores, all the stuff, and then have time to sleep process my problems. And she was describing it the other way around. And I was wondering if the two Sleep Saviors relate to what she said, and if the Play Saviors relate to what I said.
Yeah, I mean, personally, like I'm processing all day. So like, and even when I'm talking to people, like I'll just zone out and start processing, and I won't even listen to what they said. I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Sorry, can you repeat that? So yeah, and especially if an idea comes up, I'm like, okay, I need to think the shit out of this right now because it's cool, and figure it out. Just think about it.
Hannah?
Yeah, I would agree. And well, for me, I think it's more about I don't want it to stick out. So even though I'm Savior FI and whatnot, and I'm really not scared to be vulnerable, I don't want my unprocessed shit to get dumped on someone. And when it happens, then afterwards I will sleep process the hell out of that. I will be like, why haven't I processed this yet? What's going on there? So I think it's nice that you said that it's smart. It's really not about, it's just natural.
It's not to me.
Just do our saviors. It's that easy.
There we go. That's what I want to hear. All right. So next up, we got the emotional part of SF sleep, since this is the natural transition to that. So there's two factors I want to talk about and have everyone share their experience with this. So the first one is, how do you process your feelings? Whether that be good or bad, most of it's probably gonna be bad emotions or negative emotions. So how do you process your feelings? And the second part of the question is, how do you set boundaries with other people? Okay, because that's what sleep is. Okay, so I want to pass this to Natasha first. So Natasha, you will be the first one to talk about how you process your feelings. Your Savior FI, so I think perfect. And how do you set boundaries with people? Also Savior FI, which is perfect. So go for it.
So processing emotions first. Because I have sleep demon, processing emotions is a bit strange. So I will process hypothetical emotions that haven't happened yet faster than past emotions. I'll be like, okay, what if this happens? How would I feel if this happens? Then I start thinking in the hypothetical, okay, maybe I might feel this way, maybe I might feel this way. Start processing that hypothetical emotion. So I'll be processing emotions 5-10 years in the future and ignore what happened yesterday or today or what I've been feeling like the past week, which is bizarre. But I also noticed my feelings are not just necessarily like how I process my feelings, but I also consume a lot of material that will actively make me feel certain emotions. So if I want to process, for example, sadness or anger, I'll read like a really angsty novel, just perceive what the characters are feeling and try to process those emotions as well. So it's basically not necessarily only my emotions, but fictional emotions, hypothetical emotions. This is all because of NF consume. So when it comes to the SF sleep part, I put it aside. I actually thought I was a thinker before I got type, because I will do the anti-play before I do the SF sleep. I'll just put all the emotional part aside and be like, I don't want to think about that. I'd rather do stuff and not think about that. Like thinking about that is just going to make me feel like horrible. So I'm not going to think about that. I'm just going to do the anti-play and NF consume. And later on, maybe when I crash, I'll do the SF sleep.
And what about setting boundaries, Natasha? How do you set boundaries?
Setting boundaries. So that is not too difficult as an IP. And with masculine TE, I'm like a bit of a no machine. So I know what I like. I know what I want to do. So I can just like tell no. I don't mind confrontation. So setting boundaries isn't that hard. It's harder if someone's in my FI. So if someone's in my FI, because of my savior play, I still want to do things for people. I still want to please people to some extent. But if it goes against my FI, I will have no issues saying no. Like, no, I just want to stay at home. No, I just want to do my own stuff. So no.
I like hearing it from your perspective, because you have feminine FI also. So using reference materials to kind of like sway your emotion or intensify your emotion, I think that's a very interesting way to sleep process your feelings. Let's go with Heather. So we're gonna cover the single deciders first in this area. Heather, how do you process your feelings, your emotions, and then how do you set boundaries with other people?
Yeah. I definitely use music sometimes as well to kind of move my emotions, especially since it hits my SI and it can bring me back to other times of maybe where I felt that before. But for me, the way that I can process emotion or just get to sleep at all is I have to really kind of cut off blast and play for myself. And I think the first time I really discovered sleep was probably like my late 20s, because I did have a big crash, a big EJ crash, where a relationship had fallen apart. You know, what a cliche. That's what started my crash. And so I just had this huge tidal wave of lack of sleep and consume. And so when that crashed for me, it was very painful, very, very painful. There was a lot of regret and pain over the loss, but it was able eventually to shift into actual remorse, where there was a depth to it that I had never felt before, and a level of weeping I'd never had. And so the way for me to be able to kind of stay in that place, and what I realized is I had to get some discipline in my life, because I didn't have a lot. I was so extroverted and my thoughts were just everywhere. And if they weren't out here, then, you know, I had tons of different, you know, thoughts going on inside my head, and they were always have an audience. So for me to do sleep, it's not only just detaching myself, which is easy, but it's stopping this. And so I would just, you know, every thought that had to do with anybody else, if that wasn't in that moment, I just took it captive over and over and over. I built the habit of just grabbing those thoughts and stopping them. Anytime when I would just kind of drift off into this fantasy world of, oh, I wish this could be like this, or wish it could be like that, I would just stop that, because I was very much into that. And anything where I would take something and flip it around and want to teach it or share it or something like that, I stopped that for a season too. So I just took this season through this painful season of my life and really disciplined my mind, and just disciplined and starved the blast play. And if I can starve the blast play and kind of shut it off for a while, then I can more get into sleep and access into consume. So it was just more of a time of me just really, I mean, this was a long time ago, but just that ability to reflect and to spend time in a really deep way and get to know myself. And it was the first time that I was kind of alone, you know, and just able to kind of be with myself and really grow. So so since then, it's a lot quicker for me and easier for me to get to that place, because I know, you know, the steps I need to take.
And what about setting boundaries, Heather?
Setting boundaries isn't really all that difficult for me. I mean, I just, if I don't want to do it, I mean, for the most part, I do have the place second. And so kind of what Natasha was saying of I do want to help people, but I have limits. And it's like, if it's like late at night, or, you know, in times when I just don't have the energy for that, or feel like, you know, I'm able to say no. It's really not difficult for me to set boundaries.
All right. Thanks for sharing that, Heather. I like how you talk about pain a lot, which is a decider perspective when it comes to sleep processing. So pain is the bigger problem for you guys than observers, where fear is the bigger problem. So thanks for sharing that perspective. I really appreciate that. Next up, we have Hannah. So Hannah, can you share how you process your feelings and how you set boundaries with people? Especially you have SF sleep first. So you're like you have a permanent like wall, I guess, but it's double feminine, so it's not like double masculine. So it's a little bit contradictory. So you have the floor.
Well, or I'm gonna start with the boundaries, because that's maybe easier to answer. I don't have problems with setting boundaries, but I think so. I realized that I'm actually quite balanced with self and tribe. So I really like helping people, but sometimes I'm insecure if I'm actually helping them or just bullshitting. So I want to do that. And I noticed that the better I feel, mostly health-wise, the more I actually am able to help. So, but like boundaries is not a problem. I think I'm more, yeah, not really. I don't think it's a problem. Sometimes though, I agree. I think Natasha, you said that if someone is in your FI, was that you? Yeah, that can get really difficult, because my FI is masculine, and it can turn pretty dark if I don't watch out. But I had a major crash when I was a teenager because of the darkness of the FI that it can have. And since then, I've never, you know, gone back to that kind of darkness. But I know that it's like Dave says that too, like, you know, it's there and you kind of once you touch it, you're trying to stay away from it. But just in everyday life, I like journaling. I walk. I listen to angry music when I walk, and I also try to go from the sleep to the blast as smoothly as possible. So what I do for that is I often do journaling. I write down, I actually write bullet points of my feelings. So I feel this way, blah, blah, blah. And then it helps me to then go to someone else to talk it out. It's like the first step of T is writing it out in an ST kind of way. And then I'm just like, okay, still need help with this. And also going to therapy. I've been to therapy for, I think, maybe 1.5 years. Currently taking a break. And therapy has really helped me, switch perspective to get better at double-sided. That's that.
All right, thanks, Hannah. I love the bullet point thing. That was funny because it's very SI. Cinzia, your sleep is gonna be very interesting because it's double masculine and it's demon. So someone's gonna get like a black eye, when it comes out. Can you talk about how you set boundaries with people and how you process your feelings?
Yeah, I took some notes while the others were talking because I found quite a few things quite interesting because I do them differently, probably. So I think Natasha said something like, well, you're a no machine. And I would say, I'm afraid to say I'm a yes machine because I'm a people pleaser. So I do have problems setting boundaries. I would say yes to everything. And even if I have to bend over backwards and stuff. And the interesting thing that I thought was interesting is that what Hannah said, she said, well, and Natasha as well, they said it's easier or it's harder for them if someone is in their FI. And I would say for me, it's easier if someone's in my FI because I would then trust that they know me and that they know who I am and that they would understand if I have to set boundaries every now and then. But that's just something that I thought was quite interesting. But the way I've learned to set boundaries, and it's still hard because I feel so bad when I say no. But the way I'm twisting it is I think I use my NT to kind of get a hang of it. And by the way, what I mean by that is I told myself that I think the reason why I say yes to everything is because I'm a DE and I want to please people. I want to be there for them and I want to do everything for them. And if they need me, I'll be there. But then I told myself, well, it's actually quite dishonest because if you say yes to everything, then how is the other person going to know whether or not you really wanted to do it? It's really quite dishonest. Whereas if you're a DI and you say no to 70% of the things, then the other person, if you say yes, the other person will know that you do it because you really wanted to. And so I kind of twisted backwards and said, well, if you really want to please people and if you really want to be a good friend, you have to say no every now and then because to make sure that people know that if you say yes, you really mean it. So that's how I have to twist it in my head to make it okay for me to set boundaries because I feel so bad when I do it. So that's boundary setting, I think, but I'm really bad at it. So I think it's got to do with DE and sleep as a demon. So I don't want to set boundaries and I don't see when I need to set them, except for emergency situations when I really need to pull the brake. And the way I process my emotions is I don't. I just shove them away until they erupt like a volcano. But but I try to. So I did some journaling as well, but not too successfully, I guess. And yeah, it's definitely still something I'm trying to work on because I found that very interesting what Hannah said as well. When she said, well, she feels responsible to not let unprocessed feelings to confront other people with unprocessed feelings, and she beats herself up when she does. And that's something that would happen to me because I wouldn't realize that I'm upset or sad, and then someone asks me something and I start talking about it, and suddenly I stand there and cry, and it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing for everyone involved. And just because I don't realize how bad I feel until I start talking about it, and because I never do it, I only realize in the moment, and that's really yeah, it's not comfortable for anyone involved.
Can I ask you a question,
Sure.
Cinzia? So with the boundaries, do you find that in certain areas of your life it's harder than in others? For example, if you compare work to your friend group, to maybe if you have a partner or something, or your family?
Yes, but I think it's because I think it's easy when I have a good reason to say no, because the reasons matter to me, to my brain. So, for example, at work, when someone says, "Well, can you do that for me?" and I can tell them, "Well, no, look at my calendar. I'm away to the next 2 days, and I don't work on Fridays," and or something like that. I would feel that it's legitimate to say no, because they can see that it's physically impossible for me to be there. And so if I have a good reason and I know that I have a good reason, then it wouldn't be a problem. But if I just have to say, well, I don't want to come to the party because I just don't want to, that's really hard, because I don't have a reason not to go. Yeah. Maybe, I'm not sure if it's the same for Kendrick, because you have anti-saviors as well. So how you feel about that? But
Yeah, a lot of things that you said earlier definitely related with me. I have more trouble with setting boundaries than processing my feelings. So I think that's where I struggled with, was setting boundaries. It wasn't until the pandemic started when I started setting boundaries with people, and like I cut off like so many friends that I used to have just because they were making me feel bad, and I didn't realize how bad they were making me feel until I cut them off, and I felt so much better. And then like I was like, oh wow, I feel so much better now. They're not in my life. They're not in the FI anymore. Like it was incredible. There was times though where I did cut off someone, and I regretted it because they hurt my feelings, but they were still a treasured friend to me, and I had massive regrets when I did that. So I went back, double decider, and invited them on my birthday, became friends again. But it was good that I think I did cut them off for that time period, because when they did come back to my life as a friend, they weren't doing that BS that they were doing before. So I think setting boundaries is definitely something that I'm realizing now it's important. I feel bad cutting people off because a lot of them I treasure as a friend. I'll think a lot of things that you said earlier, being a yes machine, that's also me. I'm also a yes machine, and it's also dishonest. I agree with you, because sometimes I get in a situation where I'm helping them. I'm like, I don't even like this person. What the fuck am I doing? And so, so recently I just been like I do a lot of interviews. So I'll just be straight up. Like sometimes I interview an idiot, and they come back later on and making demands from me. I'm like,
or
you're
5
fucking
idiots like today.
No, no, no. I wouldn't invite any of you if you were in my idiot list, idiot box. Okay, like I'm just saying, there's once in a while I do interview an idiot who comes back to me making demands. There a lot of them are self-above tribe, no surprise, and 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 I just tell them, hey, you know what? Get over yourself. I'm not gonna do what you're telling me. Fuck off. And I just block them and then never talk to them again. And yeah, so it does happen, and it's double masculine like yours, Cinzia. So it's very aggressive. Like I told off that guy who was an idiot. Like I was tempted to just flat out make him feel even worse. But I'm like, you know what? Let's be mature here. Let's grow up, Kendrick, and let's just block him, and unpublish his interview
like
video.
grown up.
What's that? Yeah, let's just
block him like a grown up.
yeah, exactly. Like don't make a scene. Just block and walk away. So so yeah.
Love it.
All right, Jonathan, you're the last
Yes.
guy for this.
Awesome. Cool. So this is something I've processed the shit out of. Processing how I process emotions, if we want to get super meta about it. I remember when I first got type, like this was the one thing that was like just constantly on my mind. It's like, what am I doing all day long? Double masculine sleep savior. So I literally process feelings as soon as I feel them. And I'm like usually just processing feelings all day. And like, so I relate to Heather a little bit when she said she like listens to music to like activate some emotions. But for me, it's like, I'm not always trying to seek a specific emotion. I just want to feel something. So, you know, during the day, like I listen to music like probably 5 hours a day. I have music on, and it just literally just to make me feel, because I want to feel good. Like if I'm at work, I want to listen to music that's gonna, you know, get me in the zone, make me feel good. When I get home from work, I have like relaxing music come on because I just want to feel like, you know, zoned out and chill. But when it comes to actual emotions, like I kind of consider myself someone that's not very emotional all the time. Like I can't remember the last time I cried. Like I actually had broke down in tears and was completely upset. And I kind of, you know, I've thought about that a lot. I'm like, why don't I cry? Is there something wrong with me? Like, am I weird? Like, am I some strange, like emotionless human being? But it's just, I think it comes down to like, whenever I get hurt or when someone upsets me, it's like, I'm in the moment, like I'm thinking about it. I'm kind of working it out in my brain. Okay, I'm feeling weird. I didn't like what that person said. Let me just think about it a bit more. Why did they say it that way? And I'm really trying to like, it's almost like I'm trying to like puzzle it. Like I'm really trying to figure out the reasons, like why am I feeling this way? And it's in that process that just the emotions kind of just release. And I'm not really, I kind of get over it like very quickly. But there are sometimes, however, like after a long day of work, I come home and like the house is a mess and there's like SE chaos everywhere. Like there's no organized sensory. I'll start to like get like frustrated. Like this anger is like building up inside of me. And I'm like, damn, I need to do that thing. I need to go do that thing. I need to clean this. I need to clean the bathroom. I need to clean this. And I start like stressing myself out. Like, fuck, there's like shit everywhere. And it's my fault because I've just ignored it for so long that it's just built up. But yeah, I feel anger. So anger is something I feel a lot, but doesn't really like, it's not aggressive. It's just like internal like frustration and like I feel very tense. How do I block people? I don't really have, like I say yes a lot at work, but I'm pretty good at like figuring out when I've taken too much on. I'm like, no, I can't say yes to you anymore. When it comes to people, it depends. Like if I think I'm gonna enjoy the exchange, or if I'm gonna enjoy the thing they're asking me to do, selfishly I'll probably say yes. But if I think it's gonna be boring and shit, then I'll probably try to figure out a reason to say no. Damn, I'm so selfish.
All right. You know what, Jonathan? A lot of things you said related too much. You know, it just.
Demon SI, man, masculine SI.
Yeah, I saw Cinzia laughing because I think she felt the same way.
Yeah.
But you know, especially when she said earlier, you get home and like there's shit all over the place, the SE chaos, and you're like, what the fuck, you know? And yeah, you know, like, you know, my girlfriend, she's in front of me right now, so she'll hear me saying this. But you know, like we fight over SE chaos because she's an INTJ and double activated SE, right? And she's like leaving shit all over the place, and I'm just like. I just become I become like a Nazi, you know. I just like I'm the most.
This needs to be clean. This thing's out of line. Like this thing's not done. The dishes are not packed. You know?
Yeah, the dishes. Yeah, the dishes are what pisses me off the most. Like, what the fuck? Why is there so many dishes on the sink? You know, after you use it, you gotta put it in the dishwasher or clean it. Like, why is there more time spent? Like, why does a sink have like dishes for 8 hours a day? You know, instead of let's just
exactly.
Like, yeah,
they need to be away or in this dishwasher. Like. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
But follow the process.
Yeah, but I was thinking about like what Dave said about his relationship with Shan and how when you have FI, you know, like now you're responsible for the feeling of everyone around that is inside your FI, right? You don't care about everyone else's feeling, the FE, but like if they matter to you, then you do care about the vibe and the feeling. So like, you know, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, like me and my girlfriend were fighting about SI. Like there's like, you know, there was some stupid mouse that came to my apartment and like bit our garbage and started leaving shit all over the floor, right? and she freaked the fuck out, and like we started having like an argument. But instead of freaking out over the SI, I changed it a bit, and I'm like, okay, Kendrick, you suck at feelings, like emotions. You suck at this shit. So we're not gonna focus on the mess on the floor, the stupid rat shit, the garbage that has a hole in it, the plates on the sink. We're not gonna focus on that. We're gonna focus on the feelings. All right, because my girlfriend's clearly upset, and I know she's probably blaming me for the rat, even though it's not neither our fault. It's the stupid apartment has a fucking like, it's an old building, so sometimes mouse gets in, right? So I'm like, wait, I'm gonna focus on the feeling. So I talked to her about it. She's giving me a dirty look right now, but anyway, so I talked to her about it. I'm like, okay, let's resolve the feeling thing. Like the feeling thing is more important than the stupid rat. The rat we can fix later.
Nice.
And and we talked it out, and by the end of the day, we were good. It's giving a dirty look.
Tell her to say hello.
What's her type again? Is she FE shaming you?
What's that?
What's her type?
She's an INTJ, jumper.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. She's gonna say
hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
You want to say hi?
Yes.
No, she's gonna come by and say hi now. Here she is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So no, but I feel like it's actually been helping our relationship. Like just talking about the feelings before it blows up. Like let's talk about the bad feelings, the feeling of blame or whatever. Let's get it out in the open. You put it out on the table, before it becomes like an interruption and becomes worse than it really is. Because at the end of the day, we were good. And then we started playing PlayStation 5. We played Overcook, that game. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's like a 4-player cooking game. And then we were fine. We were having fun and like, yeah, great time. So it's because we resolved the feeling. So that's what I learned now with like SF sleep. Like the moment you feel something, bring it out right away. Like play hot potato with that shit. Like don't let it simmer, because it's gonna poison you. All right, guys. We're gonna cover like a last few bits here for SF sleep, and then we're gonna go transition to the next animal. All right. Okay. So this last part came from Brene Brown. So she's an ISTJ, blast, play, sleep, consume. And she wrote a lot of books about like emotions and vulnerability, which I really appreciate. Like I think her material has been like a godsend. And she wrote a book called The Gifts of Imperfection, and I felt like it was like the perfect FISI guideline to feel better. So I'm gonna go over this with you guys, and tell me if you use any of these tools to make yourself feel better. Okay. So I'll list all of them, and then tell me if you personally use it or not use it. Okay. So she said in her book that you should do things purposefully, and you should never do things to numb. Okay. So numbing means like if you're watching Netflix because you had like a bad day at work, or you had an argument with someone and you just want to not think about it. So that's like numbing, right? But being purposeful could be like, what like Cinzia does. She's like powerlifting, right? Like all this like hawk-like energy, dumb masculine sleep, right? She just like lifts the barbell. So that is more purposeful, right? Physical exercise is the second one. So sometimes a lot of people feel bad, but you feel bad because you're lethargic. You're not really feeling bad because of like, of other external reasons that you might think of, or internal reasons that you might think of. It's just because you're lazy and you're not exercising. So that's one of the factors. I don't know if you know, but if you exercise, you feel a lot better afterwards. So sometimes it's not like really like you're having emotional crisis. It's because you didn't move, right? The third one is self-care. So like taking care of yourself. So that could be like eating the right food, or getting the right help that you need. So, like let's say your muscle hurts, you go see an RMT, you're feeling bad, you see a therapist, so like a lot of self-care. Fourth one is, do you help people that you want to help? So it's kind of like what Cinzia said earlier, like being honest about who you want to help, but because you want to help someone, because you want to help them, not because you're a yes machine, so like, are you helping people in a meaningful way that makes you also feel good? The next one is unexpressed emotions. Okay, so this one is the big one for a lot of people. Like I said, like yesterday, me and my girlfriend had this debacle about the mouse, and it could have been an unexpressed emotion that could have bottled up into something else later on, when really we should have just talked about it, right? So are you expressing feelings inside? Are you talking about it, right? And last one is this one says, I don't really like this one. It's kind of cliche. It's gratitude, but maybe there's some good to it. Like I think the best way to use it though instead of gratitude is contrast. Like I feel like a lot of things in life is like perspective, where if you've just had this, like, let's say you have an IJ box and you've just lived in this box, you don't really know what your life is like until you've seen like what someone else's IJ box looks like, you know. So if you like for example, for me, I like to travel, so like I have been to a lot of developing countries, like Venezuela, for example. They're in extreme poverty. So like when I go there and I'm like, oh shit, these people have nothing, and I'm like, I can travel, I have money to travel. Like I'm not, my problems are really not that big, like because I have that contrast, right? So you can talk about gratitude if you want, or you can talk about contrast. Okay. So I'll leave that. This can be the last part for SF sleep. So for this one, please volunteer if you would like to talk about this first. Any volunteers? Who wants to talk about this first?
I'm happy to talk about it a little bit.
Okay, Jonathan's first then. Go ahead.
So she just wanted us to mention, like, talk about some of the things you mentioned, right?
Yeah, do you do any of that stuff that I listed? And if you forgot something, I'll mention it again. So just.
Yeah, so two things to me like really spiked. That was like exercise and the gratitude thing. So first with exercise, like I try to exercise every day. And the main reason I do that is just so I can feel good. That's the number one reason. Like obviously there's more benefits, but I know that like if I wake up, I get my day started and I do a good workout, like I know the rest of my day is going to be really great. And then at the end of the day, I feel good because, I feel more productive and my energy levels are higher as well. Another one you said was gratitude. Gratitude is something like I've been hearing a lot of, like I keep just in different things that I'm reading, even in different religions, different teachings, even like people like Tony Robbins and stuff, they're always talking about like this gratitude thing. And for me, I don't practice gratitude, but I do. It is something that I try to like kind of be aware of, and what I mean by that is like just trying to be thankful for like, things that I have. Like, I've also traveled as well, Kendrick. I've been to some third world countries and seen a lot of poverty, and that definitely did open my eyes to just how what's the word, like blessed that we are, to live in such a good country. But yeah, it's just, and in a sense, like gratitude is also like living in the moment as well. It's like just kind of just being sitting there still, just looking around, taking the world in around you, just kind of just be happy, like with simple things, like look at the trees. Wow, aren't they amazing? Oh look, there's some birds. They're making a nice sound. I feel very relaxed now. Yeah, those things.
All right, thanks, man. Who wants to go second? Cinzia, go ahead.
I could probably just chime in because I wanted to talk about the last 2 points as well. And I really like the gratitude one. I would probably call it contrast as well. But I think this is something I would do in a savior state. So I think in my case, I actually have to reel it back in sometimes because I could give you an example. So recently I tested 1 rep maxes again in the gym and they didn't really go to plan, and I was throwing a pity party. And after a few seconds, my savior state kicks in and tells me, shut the fuck up. You're bitching and moaning about powerlifting while there's other people in the world starving and there's war and there's stuff going on. And what are you even complaining about? You have everything. You have a healthy body and it's just ridiculous. But that's my savior state. So I think in my case, I have to practice the second to last point more often, which is the unexpressed emotions, because in a way, what they keep telling us is that everyone, in the end, everyone is a feeler, and the T's just they they think they're thinkers, but they're actually feelers. But they actually only look at the tip of the iceberg, which is the feeling, the rational side, and we just never look at what's beneath. And sometimes I have to tell myself, well, it's okay to feel bad about something that doesn't make sense or that's ridiculous, and to feel those emotions, even if my savior state wants to cut it short. But I think these two things really go well together. They have to be balanced. So you have to feel your emotions, but then you also need to see the contrast and see, is it really that bad, or are you just being a little bitch?
That's an interesting perspective there, Cinzia, about like dialing down the contrast. And but who wants to go next?
I go next.
Heather, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree on the exercise. I don't know why, but I keep coming back to the word self-mastery. And like, that's like, I think when I have gotten into a place of having better self-mastery, that's where I found freedom, which is crazy because I'm, savior OI in a second. And so it's like, sounds very EP-ish, but that's really where I did find freedom. And what I realized is that I didn't realize what I was missing until I was actually had cleaned up my diet and was eating clean, and it shifted my entire palate and everything. So now I actually crave what is good and healthy. And even with exercise and just getting up and getting my circadian rhythm, set, it was amazing how it brought so much peace and calm and health and all of that to my life, because I wasn't going for that. I was just going towards, I should probably be, exercising, doing this and that. And then that stuff happened for me. So for sure, I do that on a consistent, regular basis. I love lifting weights too. Never even connected about the thought about the way that I want my aesthetic to look and how it is unique. And I look around and go, oh yeah, I do look different compared to, like, I didn't realize it was Si+Fi. Thank you. And then definitely the self-care and just taking the time, kind of to what Jonathan was saying, I'd like to just get outside in the morning. After the gym, I'll just go walk when it's still kind of dark out, and just take in everything around me, and just, it's so quiet and peaceful, and I'd really enjoy it. So those moments really help. The unexpressed emotions it's difficult for me because like, even when I was talking about how I do my emotions, I didn't even talk about how I do my emotions, because I'm like, what emotions? But I have to spend a little time figuring out what it is. It just takes me a while because I don't know readily what it is. It's kind of like, I think what Jonathan was saying is like, I think about it. And so I just kind of read through, there's something off. What is this? What is this? What is this? Instead of actually feeling them. So spending some time with them, journaling them. I agree with gratitude. I found that that's something I struggle with, because I tend to see what's not there rather than what is there. And so I have to really stop and really just allow that moment to hit me in a really bodily way of going, oh, this is wonderful right now. Just soak this moment in. And so I try to practice that more.
All right, thanks for sharing that, Heather. I think for you, it's going to be extra challenging because it's feminine FI and it's fourth. So it's going to be like you do need to use your SI to tap into that, and your consume as well, because then that's the best way to do it. Maybe Natasha, do you want to share next? Maybe like you'll get some really good perspective from you, because you have FI first, right? So go ahead.
So actually, the unexpressed emotions, one thing I wanted to add that I didn't mention in the sleep part was writing poetry. That actually was one outlet I found to process emotions, because FI is personal, so we don't really like sharing or processing emotions with people. It's mostly like we want to process it ourselves, and once it's digested and fully processed, then we can share it with people. So for me, I did it through poetry, and like that's how I process past emotions. A lot of past emotions. Most of my poems are about past emotions. They're not about hypothetical emotions like with consume. Everything people mentioned about exercise definitely relate, even though I'm a bit lazier than most people here. But one thing that I would like to highlight as an IP that even Laurie Santos mentioned when I studied her was DI will want to help people so that they can feel happier. So helping other people will also make you happy. And as an IP, that for me was a big one. Like, the more productive I am and the more I help people, the less of a chance I have to feel sad in a way. So yes, there should be some processing of the emotions with sleep, but as an IP, my lesson was doing the DE, which in my opinion is more tapping into that anti-play and doing helping people that I want to help. That also has been great in terms of boosting the mood and overall happiness.
Yeah, I think you're kicking ass there, Natasha, because you are blast last and you're a teacher. So I think that that's like the best way to help people. So I think that's really the growth path for your specific type as an INFP is what you're doing right now as a teacher. And
but But
Yeah,
see,
go ahead.
there's a common pattern. So I am recruiting my savior, my DE, in order to do my DI, and you're recruiting your DI savior in order to do DE. So you tell yourself DE is good for my DI, and I tell myself DI is good for my DE. So that's really interesting.
All right, Hannah, you are last.
Yeah, I relate to Natasha. The DE, I also discovered that later. So all the workouts and the self-care, sure. But actually, so I don't know if you guys know, oh, what is her name? I'm not sure. Cassie James or Cassidy James. It's an FISI. And the thing that she said, what was that?
Cassie J.
Cassie J. Okay. That girl, she talks about groupthink in her TED talk. And to me, like, that was a big discovery that being part of a group doesn't mean that suddenly I'm now a Nazi. I'm also from Austria and Hitler's as well. So better watch out. No, but the thing that I was kind of confused about is that helping people with purpose of something. I don't know if that's right, the way I said it now. That's something that I really struggle with because the TE is it's feminine and it's kind of a demon. I'm like, every chance I get to help someone and feel confident in it, I'll take it. And then sometimes it even looks like I'm kind of EJing, but only rarely. But then people are like, why are you helping this person? I don't understand. I'm like, otherwise I'm gonna get found out as a DI. So yeah, that's now what I'm trying. I don't know what I'm starting to discover, that being part of a group doesn't make me a Nazi, basically, which is completely weird to say. I actually like helping people now. Yeah.
I like how
gratitude. You should try it. It's really good. It maybe you hate it in the beginning, but for me, it's often when I wake up and I really hate everything, which happens. I'm like, okay, but I get a chance to live another day. Sometimes that's enough to get out of bed. I don't know.
Oh man, that's so interesting to be sleepers. Yes. Your disrespect of like the people's names and stuff is also funny because a double decider. All right, so thanks everyone here for sharing your SF sleep. I knew right away this was gonna be like the meat of the conversation, so I wanted to start with this.